Okay, so now we're going to actually talk a little bit about the proper way to invite people to take a look at our opportunity. Now, you really need to understand that it's the initial conversation that you have with people, that you approach, that really is going to make or break you in this business. Inviting people is a skill that you really must learn and develop. Weak invitation skills are the biggest cause of failure in our business. Now, before we get into talking about the specific way you approach people and what you say, it's important for you to first understand some of the things that you need to be thinking about before you approach people. Your biggest asset when you are approaching people is your enthusiasm. Look, if you're not excited about what you're doing, why should the person that you're approaching be excited? See, you have to have a sense of urgency when you're contacting people. Look, when I call you up on the phone, you need to hear in my voice that this conversation is different. There needs to be a different tone to what I'm saying. It's all about posture. Look, you want to be firm, compelling, and fast. I like to say, lukewarm doesn't cut it here. If you're still trying to figure out if this thing is going to work, people can hear that in your voice. So you have to be conscious of all these things when you're calling people. Otherwise, you're never going to attract people to your business. You're going to wind up repelling people. Look, here's the thing. You need to make a decision early on. Do you want to sell energy or do you want to build your own energy company? Because I'm going to tell you this. If your goal is to build an energy company, then it's really important to understand that there is only one proven approach that will help you accomplish that goal. What we are about to teach you is an approach that has helped our team that we're a part of develop a network of well over 50,000 customers in just over 2 years. Before we get into that though, let's talk about the two common mistakes that people make when they're talking and approaching the people that they know. Number one, they try to sell savings. They have the mindset and the philosophy that they're just in this to get customers. The second mistake that they make is they personally try to explain the opportunity to the people that they know. We refer to that as presenting first person. We're going to make a distinction later in this training video of why that is fatal to your business. Now, both of these approaches, they don't work and they're not effective for one simple reason. They're perceived as selling conversations. And the thing that you need to be aware of is this. From the moment you open your mouth to the person that you're approaching, you're teaching them how to do the business. You're showing them what it is that they're supposed to do. And the thing that we have found is that most people, they either don't want to or won't be able to sell their friends and family. Now, look, some of you may be watching this video and thinking, you know what, I've been able to sign up a bunch of customers. And I want to challenge you to think of this. If you've been successful in signing up a bunch of customers, but none of them have referred anyone else, then you are most likely guilty of one of those two mistakes. We always say this. Look, in our business, it doesn't matter if what you do works. It only matters what duplicates. And that's the thing that we're really looking for, guys. We're not looking to sign up customers. We're looking to create duplication that leads us to thousands of other customers. Now, remember this. When you're approaching people, you're asking them to look at the business, not join. Your mentality needs to be this. Become a professional inviter. See, your job is to simply share the information with everybody you know. Your job is not to sell them. See, if you share and don't sell, the people that you approach will be attracted to the simplicity of our business. They won't have that icky feeling that we all have when somebody's trying to sell us something. Now, the other thing that we want to tell you is when we talk about sharing the information, we want you to understand how important it is for you to lead with the opportunity first with every single person that you approach. See, it's not your job to decide if I should become a rep or not. Let them and let the people you know decide if they want to be a customer or a rep. See, your customers will come as a result of people who have taken a look at the opportunity and decided that it wasn't for them. But give every single person the ability to make that decision on their own. See, our goal in this business is very simple. we don't want just customers. We want customers that will refer other customers. That's the power behind our opportunity. You need to understand that's what makes us different. The income opportunity, the fact that we pay our customers to refer their friends and family, that's the biggest thing that makes us unique. And look, if you're not leading with that, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you lead with price and savings, if your mentality is trying to get a customer, if you're selling people, if that's the way you're coming across, you're no different in the eyes of that person than the dozens of other companies that are out there trying to get their business. See, that's the thing that makes you unique. Now, the other thing that makes you unique that sometimes we lose sight of is you. This is your business. You need to let people know that. Now, keep this in mind as well. When you're presenting the opportunity to people, you have to understand this. Some people will be interested, some will not. You don't have control over who's interested. What you do have control over is how you react to their decision. See, it's important and it's hard, I understand. You have to keep your emotions under control. See, I use the analogy like this. It's like the waitress serving coffee. Waitress comes into a restaurant, she comes up to you and asks you if you want coffee. If you tell her no, the waitress doesn't get offended because you don't want coffee. She says okay and she moves to the next person. That needs to be the mentality that you have when you're approaching people with your business off of your list. Now look, it's easier said than done because here's the problem. You're approaching people that you know and that you have a relationship with. And the problem there is we have expectations of how they should react. And when that person says no and we think they should do it or we were excited for them to get involved, that creates an issue for some people. So learn to control that emotion, learn to have the mentality of the waitress serving coffee, and just approach everybody on your list. Now, here's the other thing though. You have to understand, somebody tells you no, it just means no for now. It doesn't mean no forever. A lot of the people that you approach the first time, the timing's not going to be right for them. Don't get mad or frustrated when somebody tells you no. Just give them their time and go back to them in 60 to 90 days. Now look, the bottom line is this. Your willingness to approach everybody you know without prejudging whether you think they're going to do it or not, that to a large degree will determine your eventual success or failure. Look, don't learn the hard way like so many of us have. There are so many people in this business that, never made their list or never really, reached out to all the people that they know, that eventually somebody they knew got into the business and it was through somebody else. And the reason for that is because they never picked up the phone and called them. So those are some important things. We want you to understand the philosophy behind why we teach the approach we do. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to actually get into the approach. So you have a list of people that you made. Now your job is very simple. You now must approach those people to share the information. Now when you are approaching those people, it's really important to understand that there are two distinct parts to that approach. The first part is the invitation. This is your job. The second part is the presentation. This is never your job. So always keep in mind, invite, presentation. Your job, not your job. Now, the presentation, it must be done by somebody or someone, something other than yourself. Now, we make this distinction. Earlier I talked about when you try to present the business, that's called first party. See, when you have somebody else or something else present the business for you, that's referred to as third party. Now, we have a lot of different things that third party could be. Third party could be the company overview call or video, one of the recorded presentations. It could be a live presentation given by somebody. It could be your website. Look, I don't care what it is. It just can't be you. You invite to the presentation. Here's the problem. Most new people take these two and they smash them together and they invite right into a presentation. Now, look, once again, keep in mind what we talked about earlier. However you approach me, whatever you say to me, that's what I think I'm supposed to do. And look, if you're the one explaining the opportunity, people will not treat it with the same level of respect. See, look, they know you're not an expert when it comes to this. And if you want to start explaining it and acting like you are, it's not going to have as much credibility. Look, think of it like this. Here's a good analogy. For any of you that are married out there, have you ever said something to your significant other, sometimes over and over and over again for years, that all of a sudden they pick up a magazine or see it on TV, and now all of a sudden it's gospel truth, and they're like, did you hear that? And you're like, look, I've been saying that to you for the last 10 years. See, that's what we're talking about here. People judge the message by the messenger. So if you're the one giving it, you're not going to get the same results. Third party. So let's talk a little bit about your job, which is the invitation. There are several parts to this, and they're pretty basic. Step number one, or part number one of the invitation, you must always be in a hurry. See, you have to let people know right up front that you don't have a lot of time. See, that creates a sense of urgency, but what it also does is it keeps them from keeping you on the phone and hammering you with questions and trying to draw information out of you. See, people that are busy are attractive. You know, when I call you up and say, hey, John, look, I don't have a lot of time, but there's something that I really need to talk to you about. That creates an attraction to you. So that's part number one, be in a hurry. Part number two, very simple. Share the reason why you're doing this business. You saw in our other training videos the importance of you determining your why and being able to communicate it to people. This is where you do this. Now, it sounds something like this. Now, when I got into the business, my background was in medical sales. And I had a lot of uncertainty related to my career. I had gone through a restructuring at work. I thought I was going to lose my job. Thankfully, I didn't. But that made it painfully aware for me, the necessity for me to have a plan B and do something else. So when I called people up, I would say, John, look, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I started my own business. Here's the reason why. And I would go into the fact that I just went through a restructuring. I thought I was going to lose my job. It made me realize that I needed a plan B. I needed something that I could fall back on. I gave them a compelling reason why I wanted to do this. Now, here's the reason why this is important. Because when you share your reason why with somebody, it gives you a chance to have them relate to what it is you're doing. And the other part of it is that the bigger and more compelling you can make your reason why, the more attention that you'll get to somebody. It's a way for you to get them interested in what you're doing without even trying to recruit them. You can talk about saving for retirement, paying off your credit card debts, being able to send the kids to school, to take the vacation that you wanted. Just being genuine with people, and I'm telling you, you'll get people that will relate to that. But the other thing that it does is this, is that when you share your reason why and you let them know it's your business, after they've gone through this process, if for some reason they're just not interested in the business, you can then at that point leverage that reason why and leverage your relationship and ask them to help and support your business and become a customer. So guys, I'm just telling you this. The entire tone of your conversation will be different if you start out with sharing your why. So you've set the tone that you don't have a lot of time, you've shared your why, and the third part of this is very straightforward. You want to now let them know that you want their opinion on what you're doing. Now, we talked earlier, your goal here is to not recruit people. Your goal is to simply share the information with every single person you know. So I'll say, John, look, the reason I'm calling you is because I'd really value your opinion on what it is that I'm doing. I compliment that person. I make them feel good about themselves. Now, it's really important, as I mentioned, do not come across like you're trying to recruit them. See, the mistake a lot of people make is they say, John, I know you're always looking for other ways to make money, or now all of a sudden they're on the defensive because they feel that, as opposed to me complimenting them and say, John, look, I'm not trying to recruit you. I just want to see what you think about this. It's very indirect, and it's a comfortable conversation for you to have. And like I said, your goal is to simply get them to understand what it is that you're doing. If they say no, that's fine. See, and my mentality is this. If you don't want to do this, I have no problem with that. But it is not okay with me that you're not willing to at least understand what it is that I'm involved with. Because even if you don't want to do it, you might be able to help me in some other way if you know what it is that I'm doing. So that's the third part. Now, after you've asked for their opinion, the fourth step in this process is very simple. You want to now share the information with them. Now, we recommend, okay, the initial exposure for every person that you approach is the company overview video or the company overview call. It's a quick 4 or 5 minute way to give them the information, short and sweet, and it allows them to determine right away if this is something that they're going to be interested or not. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip. If at all possible, have them watch the video or listen to the call, even three-way them into the call the moment that you call them. See, if they can't do it right then, do not give them the information. Schedule a specific time to have them watch the video or listen to it. Because here's the mistake a lot of us make, is they say, hey, now's not good, Bob. And I say, well, John, here's the number. Here's the website address. Watch it. Now, here's what I've done, is the sense of urgency is now gone. Because I've put everything into their hands. And look, it's not as much of a priority to them as it is for me. And they may have every intention of going home and listening to the call or watching the video, but guess what? The baby's crying, they get a flat tire on the way home, and they don't do it. And now all of a sudden, I'm chasing them. You don't want to be in a position. When I say, John, it's really important for me that you listen to this or watch this. What's a good time for you? And he tells me 8 o'clock at night. I say, John, I'm going to call you at 8 o'clock tonight, and we're going to watch this together. And if you do that, that will create value for what it is, because he'll say, wow, Bob's really serious about this. And that's the type of dynamic that you want to create. Now, sharing this initial tool with them, whether it's the call or the video, you have to look at this as a sorting tool. And what I mean by sorting tool is real simple. It's designed to give them enough information to determine if they're going to be a potential customer or a potential rep. Once again, we said don't decide for them. Don't prejudge. Lead opportunity first with everybody, and then let them tell you which side of the fence they fall on. So that leads us into the fifth and the final step, the follow-up. So you've shared the tool with them. They've watched it. They've listened to it. And now you ask them a simple question. I say, John, let me ask you this. What did you like best? What did you like about what you saw or what you heard? Now, John's going to say whatever, okay? Now, you'll get an indication in his initial response as to where he sits. Maybe there was something that was a hot button for him that he really latched onto. Maybe it was energy or residual income. Whatever that is, take note of that because you can use that. But after John answers you, we recommend that you use a 3-question follow-up that we have found to be incredibly effective. So John's going to say, Bob, I like this or whatever it is. And I'm going to say, John, that's great. Let me ask you a couple questions. And the reason why I'm going to ask him these questions is because I want John to start to think in the simple terms of what our business really is, that it's really nothing more than a referral program for many people. And all I'm really looking for John to do in the beginning is just that, refer this and share it with the people that he knows. So I almost want John to think he's stupid if he doesn't want to do this because of how simple it is. So here's how the questions go. I say, John, how many people do you know that use gas and electricity? Now the answer for John is going to be simple. He's going to laugh. He's going to say everybody. I'm going to say exactly. And then I'm going to say, John, do you think that they would potentially want to pay less and maybe even get it for free? John's going to say, well, yeah, of course. And then the final question I'm going to ask John, I'm going to say, John, if you could earn potentially thousands of dollars in bonuses and a residual income by just referring them, do you think that's something they'd be interested in? And John's going to, a lot of cases, say, of course. Now, after I go through these 3 questions, there's only 3 different types of responses that I can get from John. He's either going to be not interested, okay, which is fine, that happens. If he or they are not interested, here's what you do. Get them as a customer. Do what we talked about earlier. Leverage your relationship. Ask them to help and support your business. Do not sell them. Understand, it is them helping you that's going to get them initially to sign up. So they're not interested, sort them, get them as a customer, go back to them 60 to 90 days from now, and reapproach them with the opportunity. The second response you can get is they are interested. If that's the case, sign them up. Pretty straightforward. Have them get their bill, walk them through the enrollment process, but then here's the key. After you sign them up, immediately plug them into the support team. Schedule a call with somebody in your support team so that you can have them begin to help train and work with that person. You will not be able to work with your own people, okay? Now, the third possible response is John's interested, but he needs some more information. He's not ready based off of a 5-minute video to get started yet. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Probably a large portion of the people that you approach will fall into this category. So here's what you do. Real simple. Interested, needs more information. Invite them to the second step in the presentation process. Now, you can do that one of two ways. You can either invite them to a home meeting if you have one scheduled for yourself. You say, John, hey, come out. I'm having a meeting next Tuesday. You'll learn more about the company. You'll get a chance to meet some of the people that I'm working with, and you'll move them to that step. Or you can have them view the recorded presentation we have at www.napvideo.com. Now, notice what I'm doing, guys. I'm not explaining. I'm not answering questions. I'm moving them to the next step. Now, look, it is crucial that when they fall into this category, see, that we call this moment right here the valley of death. And here's what we mean by that. What most new people have a tendency to do is when John starts asking them questions, we have a tendency to want to just start answering the questions. And guys, that is the biggest mistake that you can make. And here's why. Because if you answer John's questions or you answer the person's questions that you're approaching, he or they are going to think that they're going to have to become an expert because that's what you're acting like. You're acting like an expert. And then here's the other thing to think about. What need do they have to actually watch the presentation if you've just answered all their questions and they think they know what it is anyway? Now, keep in mind what we talked about before. It's the husband and wife syndrome. They're going to be prejudging the business through the filter of who you are because you were the one that answered the questions. Guys, see, the whole point of this process is this. If you do it the way we teach, it's simple. See, this is a science, guys. We're not just guessing. I mean, we've put this through a laboratory over the last 3 years, and we know exactly what does and doesn't work. And guys, you have to sometimes, it's easier said than done. It's hard not to answer questions. It's hard to act like sometimes you don't know, what to say or what to do. But you have to understand that if you follow this process, if you treat it with the respect that it deserves, at the end of the process, John's going to say this. This is simple. You barely did anything. All you did is tell me why you're in the business. You shared this, you shared that. You moved me through a process. And if you do it the right way, people will be attracted to your business. And here's the key, guys. You want to make big money in North American Power? You need to have a simple system that you teach to a large number of people that they implement every single day. Whether they're an 18-year-old high school student or whether they're a 75-year-old grandmother, they can do what I just taught you. And if you can teach a massive amount of people to do that, that's how you create a business of 50,000 customers for yourself. That's how you create tens of thousands of dollars in residual income every month doing exactly what it is that we teach. So hope that information was helpful for you guys. Thank you for taking the time to join us on this video.